recording and you can guide us through how to make Chef Laura's perfect pizza. I see, gosh, at least 8 people sharing their cameras tonight. So you have a captivated audience.
Hi, everybody. So nice to see everybody. Thanks for joining me. And who doesn't love pizza, right? So I'm going to guarantee that this will be your go-to. You don't ever want to order pizza again. It's really, really easy. You can use some things in your fridge. So what you're going to want to do, the very first thing is you want to go set your oven to 500 degrees. Make sure that there's nothing in your oven. Sometimes I know people put baking trays in mine. So you want to make sure you have an empty oven and put your oven on to 500 degrees to warm up. Okay, so we're going to start with our pizza dough. This is a super easy recipe, guys. Okay, so we are going to put in a teaspoon of yeast into our bowl. I prefer to use a quick rise yeast. It just means that it helps the dough rise a little bit faster. And now we're going to add in a little bit of water here, 3/4 of a cup. You want to make sure it's warm, but not too hot. So the best way to check that is actually just on this part of your wrist. So you'll be able to get a good measure of the temperature there. Okay, I'm just going to grab my measuring cup and some water.
So if anyone is cooking along at home, and I see that there are many families making pizzas at different speeds. So if at any point you need kind of Laura to jump back and give an update on where you are, please feel free just to let us know. And before you leave and sign off, please make sure that we get some images of your final product. I know last week when we made our hot chocolate balls, and not everyone's finished product was lovely, but it's still so great to see what happens when everyone gets together and tries something new.
Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of sugar, a teaspoon of sugar to my yeast and water. Okay, I don't have any honey here, but what I normally do at home actually is I'll use honey instead of the sugar, and I just find that it really blooms a lot more than just using a granulated sugar. So if you do have honey, just give a good squirt in there.
Hey,
and then
Chef,
we're just gonna,
how much water did we just add?
Oh, that was 3/4 of a cup.
3/4 of a cup, great.
So 1 teaspoon of quick rise yeast.
3/4 of a cup to 1 teaspoon, thank you.
If you are using a fresh yeast, or a compressed yeast, then you would actually not use the same amounts. Does anyone have fresh yeast? No, everyone's got dry? Okay, perfect. All right, so we're just gonna set this aside for about 5 minutes. Okay. So while that is resting, and we're gonna move on to making our sauce. Okay, so I'll just tell you too, this pizza dough recipe will make about 4 individual size pizzas. So if that helps you gauge how much you need to make. Okay. All right, so in our bowl here, this is a no-cook, easy pizza sauce. So I've just got 1 can of tomato sauce. Okay, and then we are just going to add in a can of tomato paste. So it's really important here not to use a marinara sauce on your pizza, because that contains a heavy water content, and we don't want to have soggy pizza.
Chef, we've just had a few people join us late. I'm just gonna catch them up to where we're at. So if you are cooking pizza along home, for the folks that just joined, feel free to share your camera so we can see you. Otherwise, I'll let Chef continue to plug along, but we have added water to our yeast, and now we're working on our pasta sauce.
Yeah, so here's just our yeast with a little bit of sugar and the water, but the water not too hot. Okay, just a little bit more than room temperature. Okay, so we've got our tomato paste, we've got our tomato sauce, And then we are going to add in some of our spices. So I've just taken the liberty to put mine in a bowl already. And so in here, I've got the Italian seasoning, the oregano, the garlic powder, and the onion salt. If you don't have onion salt, then that's fine. You can just use a little bit more garlic powder. I've got a little bit of pepper, some salt, and what else do I have in here? A little bit of, did I say oregano? An oregano. Okay. So I'm just going to put that in here. If you wanted to make this a little bit more spicy, you could add a little bit more oregano. You could add some hot chili flakes if that's your thing. My kids just like plain Jane, so this is the way I make it. Okay, so all you do here is mix, and then that is it. And then you're gonna have some left over, and you could freeze that if you wanted. Make sure you label.
Chef, when you use like terms like a little bit, when we're talking about oregano, herbs and stuff, are we talking like half a teaspoon?
So the recipe that we had posted for the Italian seasoning and the oregano, it's about 1 to 2 tablespoons.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
but you can adjust that to taste as well. So if you want to have it a little bit more on that herby pungent side, then feel free to add more.
So for those who are interested, I will drop a link to that recipe just in the chat box. So that is our virtual programs page, and if you scroll down, there's a tab there for Chef Laura's recipes, so you can check that out and see some more detailed description.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Daniel. All right, so let's just put this aside. Okay, so let's go back to our yeast water slurry here. So now we're going to add our flour. Okay, so we're going to add 2 cups of flour. And I'm just using a regular all-purpose flour, okay? And then to this, we're going to add a teaspoon of salt. So whatever kind of salt you have right now, I've got some table salt that you can use, Himalayan or sea salt, whatever you got. So it's important when you are working with yeast that you do not have the salt and the yeast come in contact with each other, because yeast actually is hygroscopic, so which means that the salt will actually attack the yeast and pull out all of the moisture from the yeast, because the yeast is a living organism. So you don't ever want those two to touch, okay? And then we're just going to put in a little bit of olive oil, maybe about 1.5 to 2 tablespoons. I just like to go by eye. Okay, and then we're just going to mix. You could do this in your mixer if you wanted to, but I just like to quickly do it by hand, and then we'll let the dough rest in the same bowl. So your dough is going to be a bit saggy to start. And then we're just going to start pulling the dough together and just gently kneading. Okay.
What was the last ingredient you added there, Chef?
Olive oil.
Olive oil, of course.
This gives it a nice flavor. Add some a little bit of fat to the dough too. To your gluten strands here. I'm just gonna knead this just until it comes into a nice ball. You can put this out onto your counter if you like, which I may. Okay, so when you are kneading, you're basically going to use the heel of your hand. So you're basically pushing with the heel of your hand and then bringing the dough back. Okay, so it kind of looks like this. You're kind of like in a rolling motion. Okay. Everybody see that? Okay, and then you should have a nice smooth ball. Okay. Let's grab those little pieces there. So you're just kneading until it's it's all come together and it's not a shaggy dough. Does that make sense? Everybody? Okay. And then once you're done kneading, then what I like to do is I just put a little bit of olive oil back into my bowl. Okay, and then I just put my dough in there. I just kind of rub it around, get the top oiled, and then that's it. Okay, I'm just going to cover it with a cloth. And then we're going to let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're just letting the gluten relax so that we'll be able to roll it out. Okay. Let's see here. So again, when you're using flour, make sure you use a dry cloth. Clean your workspace. I'm just going to wet this towel.
Looks great, everybody. Looks like Mary Ellen's wrapping up their dough. Kylie, I think you've moved on.
Great.
I saw the Hallman family has turned off their camera. I don't know if that's a bad sign.
Okay. So on the pizza we're going to make here tonight, we've got some beautiful olives, we've got some red onion, peppers, and mushrooms. But honestly, feel free to put as much and as less as you want on there. I know last week we were talking, Daniel, about what's your favorite thing to put on your pizza. And I was saying earlier that I actually made pizza this week and I had some leftover blue cheese in the fridge. And then I added some caper berries on it as well. And it was delicious. Does everybody ever have some favorites? Some standard go-tos?
My favorite, I'm surprised with how good broccoli is on pizza. I got to give a shout out to Pizza for making that. I don't love Pizza. I don't know if they're not a sponsor of ours, so we can say whatever we want. But broccoli on pizza is sneaky good.
It is good. And I just saw a question. Oh, sorry, Daniel.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, Margaret, yes, you would cook your bacon first if you're going to put bacon on your pizza. There was a restaurant that I used to go to when I was visiting Vancouver many, many years ago, and it was called the Flying Wedge. And it was just down at the base of the Burrard Street Bridge. And that was where I was introduced to broccoli on pizza. And it was fantastic. Okay. So I'm just going to move on to getting our toppings organized. Is everyone okay? One's good? Okay.
I don't see any head shaking, so I think we're good.
Okay, perfect.
It looks like my daughter's going to jump off the table, so.
Okay. So we'll start, I'm going to just cut up some peppers here. So you can cut them however you like. I'm going to cut mine up into small squares. Okay, so remember when you're using your knife, just to keep your thumb tucked behind. I'll just show you again. So when you're holding your fruits or your vegetables, whatever you're cooking, your thumb is always tucked behind your fingers. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna add some mushrooms on mine. I like my mushrooms to go on pretty thin, so they cook a little bit faster. Okay, I'll just put on some red onion as well.
This is where those really professional cooking shows would have those really intense mics so we could hear the crack of all the onion and everything. God.
Remember, practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. Follow up with your local council people if counselor, if you want to, see the town invest in that kind of quality materials.
Okay. Lovely. Take out the pits here. I love olives. Olives of all kinds.
So I'm just curious, as we're making our toppings, what is everyone else putting on as toppings? I know that we're making live pizza.
Does anybody have some unusual toppings that they like on theirs?
I saw Mary Ellen show cheese. I think that was cheese. I'm hoping that's a given for everyone.
Cheese, okay.
Feel
Yes,
free.
you can also grate your cheese if you haven't already done so.
Feel free to unmute your mic if you guys want to let us know what you're throwing on your pizza. Hallman's like thinly sliced potatoes, like that.
Delicious. Do you put rosemary with your potatoes?
Kylie is doing olive, artichoke, and pesto. That's
Yeah.
pretty elevated. I feel like
It's still green stuff, yeah.
no green stuff on pizza. I mean, I don't want to throw it out, but I know pineapples on pizza have been getting like breaking social media. Apparently that's not allowed. I personally like pineapple on pizza.
I also do. But artichokes on pizza is really good too.
Artichoke's a nice touch. I feel like that's probably the classiest pizza joint in town right now at Kylie's house.
We're all coming over, Kylie. Okay. Everyone's okay? Oh, yes. Arugula, the last 5 minutes is good too.
What does that mean, arugula last 5 minutes?
It's when you sprinkle the arugula on your pizza before it's almost fully baked.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
So it's warm, but it's not like wilted down. Beautiful.
And Oma, do you put balsamic glaze on yours too? A balsamic reduction? All right. Okay. So I have these pans here. So you can, no, but I will try. Yes, it's really quite good after it comes out of the oven. If you put, if you're using arugula, if you do a nice little drizzle of the balsamic reduction, it's quite delicious. I have this pan. I like to barbecue my pizzas in the summer. So I brought these ones in just to kind of give you guys a show. I like the fact that they're a little bit open on the bottom too, so that you do get the heat penetrating the bottom of the crust through the openness of the pan. I also have a rectangular baking stone that I use as well. And I sometimes like to have that in the oven preheating while I'm making my pizza. So then I'll take it out, and you got to work a little bit quick, but I put a little bit of cornmeal on, and then I put my dough on, and then I'll put on my toppings and then slide it right back into the oven. But there's lots of different pans you can use. If you just have a regular tray, then that's good too. You use whatever you've got, okay? Okay, let's see how our dough is doing here.
So,
It's really, sorry, Daniel, what's that?
Chef, if people are using different bases, like, you know, how you have yours like a breathable pan or a stone, is it still 450 in the oven? Like, does the heat change based on the base?
No, you should always have the heat at the same. Just keep an eye on it because every oven is a little bit different, right? So you want to make sure that you keep an eye on it. It's really cold here in the community kitchen, so my dough's still a little bit on the not relaxed side. So we're gonna give it a go. Anyway, right. So I'm just gonna divide our dough in half, and I'm just going to lightly flour my surface here. I'm just gonna press it out a bit. And this dough is great. Like you can actually even make it like this and keep it in a ball form and just wrap it in a plastic bag. Just squeeze out all the air, and you can put it in your freezer. So again, making sure you're always labeling. Yeah, you know, it needs to be relaxed a little bit more, but I'm just gonna go for it. Okay. I'd love to say that I can do the fancy up in the air twirling a pizza, but that is not my forte. But I'd love to see it if someone else does.
I was gonna say, come on.
I know. It's amateur hour, Daniel.
It's better than the pizza violence. I just saw someone in Mary Ellen's try to hit someone with pizza dough, so. And they're rolling it with wine bottles.
Are they? Well,
The class level is at an 11 out of 10. It's perfect. The bottles look empty notably as well, so no judgment.
It does look empty?
They do look empty.
Oh, that's good. All right. So I'm just going to give my dough a little bit of a pull. I like my crust really thin on my pizzas personally. My kids like a thicker crust. So sometimes I actually do a crust that is a stuffed crust for them, where you can put on the outside of your crust like a topping, and then you would fold your crust over and make an edge around if you wanted to do a stuffed crust. I think that pizza, no, it wasn't Pizza, was it Pizza Hut? Used to do that all the time. Do they even have Pizza Hut anymore?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I think they're a Canadian company as well.
Are they?
No?
Okay. I have no idea.
Maybe I'm wrong. I suspect that stuffed crust is still probably going strong though.
I would think. Okay. So I'm gonna get ready to put on my pan. Is everybody doing okay? So I'm just gonna give my pan a quick spray with some PAM. If you want, you can use on your baking stone or your tray, you can use a little bit of cornmeal, but I just don't want it to stick. So I'm just going to give it a quick little spray. And then I'm just going to place my dough right here. Okay. So when you are constructing your pizza, you want to put your sauce all the way to the ends, or to the edges, I should say, not ends. Okay. This dough is really great too. If you want to do it in the morning and make it in the morning so it's ready to go at dinner time, feel free. Just let it sit in the fridge covered with a damp towel. And then when you're home and ready to go, you've got it all ready. Okay. So when you are making a pizza, the trick here is you want to put a little bit of cheese down over your sauce before you put on your toppings. Okay, so I've just got a mixed blend here that I'm going to put on that we had left over. I'm just going to put a little bit on here. And then you can start putting on your toppings. Try not to put a big pile of them right in the middle of your pizza because that's going to be the last place to cook. So no right or wrong way to do this. Sorry, this isn't going to be gluten-free for you, Daniel.
That's quite all right.
Okay.
I don't blame you. The gluten-free pizza, admittedly, is not it's not very good.
No.
There's a lot of things that have come a long way. Pizza's not really one of them. Why? It's come a long way. It's still not as good.
Or croissants, actually. Have you found a good gluten-free croissant?
No. I mean, the bread essentially tastes like. Did you say croissants or croutons?
Croissants.
No. No, I've let go of that aspect of my life. Sorry, I missed you. Was that putting on Parmesan cheese?
Oh yes, I just put on a little bit of Parmesan cheese because that's what we have here. And now I'm just going to finish with a little topping of grated mozzarella.
Kat, is Ruby eating pizza? It's hard to tell. It looks like it, and she's asking for more.
Okay, so I'm going to put this into the oven, again, 500 degrees for about 10-15 minutes. So don't forget to put your timer on, okay? What size of pan? My pizza was about, I want to say between 8 to 10 inches. So I think that pan's probably around a 12. Or if you have just a baking tray, you can just do a rectangular shape on your dough too, Margaret. Okay. So the more you let your dough rest, the more you are able to get it even thinner. Oh. I think she's enjoying the pizza, Daniel.
Yeah, it's I feel like there's going to be remnants all over the floor even when I get home. Yeah. Look at, there's a production happening at Mary Ellen's house as well, by the way. Like there's at least 4 pizzas. I think they're starting up like their own pizza company or something. Very healthy portions.
Will just stop by on my way home for dinner?
I have a feeling there's going to be no leftover pizza at my house, so you can just keep rolling. Ruby is putting it down.
How's everyone doing? Everyone's in the oven almost? If you want a thicker, crispy, they should just, yes, Isla, yes. But you can, yes. But try not to have it too thick on the edges. Even if you wanted to, if it was rolled out a little. So one of the questions was, if you want a thicker crust, can you just stop rolling it out so it's not so thin? And the answer is yes. And if you want a little bit of a thicker crust, you can also just pull the edges over a little bit like this. Okay, just make sure you give it a good firm push down. No problem. Okay, so because we were on the magic of television, I just did a quick pizza before you guys jumped on here. So we have our nice cheese pizza. It's Margaret, the oven temperature is 500. And the time 10 minutes. Oh, I missed the last part of that question.
It's so 500, and then is the time 10 minutes, and which level of oven rack?
I usually put, that's a great question. I usually put mine in on close to the bottom of the oven. And I usually do a timer check at 10 minutes, and then you can always do an eye check to see how it's going from there. But yeah, but this one makes a nice thin crust. I don't know if you could see. I just pulled this out maybe about 10, 15 minutes ago. Nice thin crust pizza. I was just saying that you know, one day when I build my dream kitchen and my big outdoor space, when I have my wood oven that I can bake in my backyard, that I would love to have a built-in pizza stone and a place where I can bake bread too. I'm gonna play, you know, the Lotto Max this Friday. So next week, maybe I'll be building my dream kitchen.
Hey, speaking of next week, well, we let folks finish topping off their pizza before they go in the oven. Do you want to speak on what we're doing next week?
Yeah, so next week is the last Wednesday of the month, and that Wednesday we work with Food for Life, and we do a segment using rescued food. So what happens is that they send us a list of what they are putting in their boxes for families, and we come up with a recipe and ways to use those things. So in the box, there are green beans and spinach. So next week we will be making a chickpea, green bean, and spinach curry.
Nice. So for those of you who may not have been here for the last Wednesday of the month before, so Food for Life is Halton's largest provider of like food security. So there's thousands of restaurants that access food, thousands of residents that access Food for Life each year. And basically at their food programs now, due to COVID-19, traditionally folks are able to pick up boxes of fresh food so that they can have, you know, a reliable source of fresh food for them and their families during the tough times. So what we're doing is we're taking one of those boxes, and Chef Laura is going to teach us how to make something really, really cool and elevated with it. So you can do so by either picking the stuff up at the grocery store, or if you have challenges with food security, you can certainly connect with Food for Life or myself outside of the program time, and I can let you know how you can access some of that food. I guess while I'm speaking on it, so there are remote food locations that are currently active amid the pandemic. So if you go to, say, Glen Abbey Community Center, or even the Central Branch in Oakville Library, if you live down south, even though facilities are closed, vestibules are open. So inside of those vestibules, we have fresh fridges, we have fresh food and fridges and dry food pantries. So if you know someone, or if you yourself are experiencing, you know, challenges accessing food, you can just go to some of our community locations, open the door, and take whatever you need with no questions asked. And next week we'll show you how to cook.
Oh, that's great. Such an amazing organization. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this. cut how you will, however many slices you desire or how big you like them. I like to cut my pieces small, so if I have 3 pieces, I don't feel as bad. Sliding. All right. Everyone's ready for dinner.
So Chef, before we sign off, because it looks like our pizza is done and ready to eat, and I'm sure the folks, or Tanya helping you inside there, is probably ready to dig in. Does anyone have, I don't know if it's gone into the oven, but if anyone wants to show us their pizza, that's kind of always my favorite part of this, is that it's kind of cool to think we're scattered across the town and everyone's making different pizzas. So if you have one that you can show on camera, that's great. As I always offer, I'm going to write the email in the chat here, but if you send it to publicart@oakville.ca. Oh, I saw the Hallmans were showing their pizzas. Looks good. But if you want to send your finished product photo of it to publicart@oakville.ca, I'll add the photos at the end of the video before we upload to YouTube.
Sounds great. Maybe before you quickly go, I'll just go quickly check our pizza in the oven here and
Cool.
see how it's.
Kylie, that looks great. The artichoke. I hope you didn't just drop. Okay, I thought you just dropped your pizza. Very cool. Nice artichoke style.
Sorry, Kylie, let's see yours. I missed that. Oh, yum.
Nice.
Good.
I'm not gonna ask. Well, I know Mary Ellen. It looked like everyone did their own individual pizzas, which was kind of a cool idea. Hallman family, is that what you guys did as well? Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got to do it when you can. Oma, love your pizza pan. That's coming from an Oma. That's no small compliment.
That is. And if anybody wants to know where I got them, actually, I got them from Pampered Chef. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to promote that. I don't work for Pampered Chef, just so you know.
Use promo code Chef Laura at Pampered Chef.
My bio, yeah.
Okay, Chef. Well, do we have anything else to pass on to these folks, or can we let them start doing some dishes and cleaning up some of the flour in their kitchen?
Yeah, I'd say go ahead and enjoy your pizza and have a wonderful night. I'm so glad that you could join me.
Yeah, thank you guys. We're so grateful that people decide to join us. Even though this time is virtual, much like you, this is one of the few times of the week where we actually get to go out and see people who aren't the ones who sleep in the bed beside us. So this is really, really nice for us. And I hope you had a lovely evening. And Chef Laura, thank you again for all your time.
Thank you. Good night,
Bye,
everybody.
Guys. So, bye.